Hello everyone, I'm Jade. As one of the 2020 SOMAR-C grant recipients, I'm very glad to share my intercultural learning study and the research progress with you. The title of my study is Intercultural Learning in Hospitality and Tourism Students, Curriculum Design Perspectives. In today's ever-growing multicultural and complex environment, intercultural competence is of extreme importance to the hospitality and tourism field, which not only serves people from all over the world, but also employs a diverse group of people. The interactive nature of this field expects graduates to engage in frequent intercultural interactions in the workplace, assume leadership roles to manage teams, and deal with cross-cultural situations both independently and collectively. Therefore, hospitality and tourism programs should prepare students with a sense of respect and an open attitude to foster an environment of diversity and inclusion at universities and beyond. However, one significant challenge that hospitality and tourism programs currently face is supporting students in developing their intercultural competence. Intercultural learning is essential, but there haven't been studies into how effective hospitality and tourism programs are at teaching it. Therefore, the goal of this study is to enhance intercultural learning in today's hospitality and tourism students on the undergraduate level through internationalizing the curriculum. Particularly, the research includes three phases. Phase one is to analyze if and how intercultural learning is embedded in the present hospitality and tourism undergraduate curriculum design. Phase two is to examine the intercultural competence level in current hospitality and tourism undergraduate students and the factors that lead to such level. And the phase three is to discover desirable learning content and approaches of intercultural learning for hospitality and tourism undergraduate students from the perspectives of scholars, industry professionals, and students. So in my study, intercultural competence refers to the ability to communicate effectively and appropriately in intercultural situations based on one's intercultural knowledge, skills, and attitudes. This definition introduces the three dimensions of intercultural competence, which include knowledge, attitudes, and skills. So in the educational context, intercultural learning is a process whereby students from different cultural backgrounds learn with and from each other, developing greater insight and understanding of different cultures. Intercultural competence is the outcome of intercultural learning. In higher education, scholars have identified three major approaches to facilitate students' intercultural learning and prepare them for the ever-growing multicultural and interdependent society. These methods include student mobility, internationalization at home, and the internationalization of the curriculum. First, student mobility can be achieved by planned educational programs, of which study abroad and international internships serve as the main design. The second approach emphasizes the utilization of the international context on campus to create intercultural learning opportunities for students. Previous literature has indicated that the contribution of both approaches to students' intercultural learning and the intercultural competence development. However, the first two approaches only represent and benefit a limited number of students and are easily disrupted by unexpected events, such as the COVID-19 pandemic and the terrorist activities. Also, non-credit study abroad and co-curriculum activities can hardly guarantee students intercultural learning outcomes because unexamined cultural experiences do not facilitate intercultural competence development. The third approach refers to the incorporation of international, intercultural, and global dimensions into the content of the curriculum, as well as the learning outcomes, assessment tasks, teaching methods, and the support services of a program. This is also the focus of my study. Previous literature identified that internationalization of the curriculum can be achieved through three different methods. The basic process is infusing international dimensions into the existing courses by providing extra lectures, case studies, reading materials, and assignments that are related to the global context. Another option is to design and add an intercultural course to the curriculum in order to allow students to shape appropriate attitudes toward different cultures and cross-cultural situations. A well-structured foundational intercultural course is viewed helpful for students to understand a variety of perspectives on global issues. Internationalizing the curriculum can be also achieved by both explicit curriculum and the implicit curriculum, which serve as the two important components in the curriculum design of higher education. So to be more specific, explicit curriculum, also known as overt or written curriculum, it refers to the official documents, texts, and the supportive teaching materials that are carefully designed and included in the intentional instructional agenda of a school system. A course syllabus is an example of the explicit curriculum. On the other hand, implicit curriculum, also referred to as the hidden or informal curriculum, is defined as lessons that are taught informally and unintentionally in a school system. It includes behaviors, attitudes, perspectives that students observe and learn from instructors and other students in the school environment. So in phase one, a case study was conducted with the method of text mining to investigate if and how the concept of intercultural learning is embedded in the present hospitality and tourism undergraduate curriculum design. The textual data include all of the undergraduate course syllabi offered by the CASE program in the 2019 to 2020 academic year. In total, 78 course syllabi were collected for data analysis. So text mining is regarded as an effective approach to obtain important and meaningful information from unstructured textual data. The process involves cleaning, analysis, and visualization. The software used in the study includes AutoMap and NodeXL. The data analysis procedure is not stopped until the sufficient evidence is yielded in order to answer the research question. According to the results from the text mining analysis, the semantic network shown in Figure 1 demonstrates the key clusters in the hospitality and tourism management course syllabi offered by the CASE program in the 2019 to 2020 academic year. So you can say the largest cluster is centered at the keyword of management, which indicates the majority of the course are management-based, such as revenue management and tourism management. And also, it it indicates that the learning objectives of these courses include or focus on management. Another cluster closely connected with management is concentrated on hospitality, which identifies important areas involved in the hospitality field. For example, the CASE program provides its undergraduate students with a variety of courses in lodging, tourism, food service, marketing, and operations. Although students in the course represent the other two outstanding clusters, they fail to produce in-depth information to interpret the course syllabi. So from this picture, we can say intercultural learning or intercultural competence as the research interest is not presented in the semantic network. This result reveals that the CASE program doesn't state the development of intercultural competence as a learning objective or outcome in the current explicit curriculum. However, instructors may apply various teaching approaches to integrate intercultural based topics into specific course content. For instance, students may be able to learn to respect and be open to different cultures from an instructor's attitude towards students from diverse cultural backgrounds. Since the keyword of intercultural learning or intercultural competence is not indicated in the course syllabi of the CASE program, a list of related concepts are used to conduct further examination. As presented in figures 2 to 4, 3 clusters centered at culture, diversity, and the global are generated after repeating the analysis. The culture and the diversity clusters are directly connected with each other. In addition, the culture cluster is related to the word identify, which indicates one of the learning objectives in the course syllabi emphasizes the knowledge of cultures. In terms of the cluster of diversity, a link between diversity and the organizations exists, which implies the diversity of hospitality and tourism organizations included in the course design. Also, the global cluster connects with major. So I look back to the course syllabi of the CASE program, and the relationship between global and major is specified in an introductory tourism course. One of the learning objectives for this course requires students to identify and describe major global tourism destinations. Phase 2 is going to use the survey to examine the intercultural competence level in current hospitality and tourism undergraduate students and the factors that lead to such level. Here is the proposed conceptual model for phase 2. And phase 3 is to use the in-depth interview to discover desirable content and the pedagogical approaches of intercultural learning for hospitality and tourism undergraduate students from the perspectives of scholars, industry professionals, and the students. So this conceptual model shows the important interview topics. Currently, the data collection process in phases 2 and 3 is completed. Next step I'm going to do is to analyze the survey and the interview data. So here is the list of the references I used for my presentation. Thank you so much for your patience.